This is Calum McManus, known as Cyclops. Corporal Calum McManus of the 77th Dublin Infantry Battalion was raised alone by a single father in the dense forests of Central Europe. Growing up, he was taught to be resourceful and to make do with whatever nature provided. Crafting, tracking, and hunting were the tools of his trade, and the young boy became intimately familiar with the kick of a buckshot round from his father's shotgun. When his father died, he moved back into Ireland in an attempt to connect with his ancestral roots. With the country's woodlands all but gone, there wasn't much place for a man of his abilities. Thus, he enlisted with the military, where his quick thinking, resourcefulness, and skill with firearms earned him the role of a close-quarters specialist. Armed with an automatic shotgun, he and his squad cleared dozens of buildings and scores of sectors from terrorists and rebels throughout their service. For a while, Calum thought he had found his place among his people, until the Taoiseach of Ireland began approving various peacekeeping missions in foreign lands. Thousands of Irish soldiers died overseas, protecting corrupt governments who did not care what happened to them. It was no secret that the Taoiseach was under the power of the growing megacorporations and was undermining Irish power and stability to have the country sold to the highest bidder. Soon, it was Calum's turn to be thrown into the meat grinder. He was deployed in a foreign jungle, among people who did not even speak the same language, and caught in a bloody ambush that almost caused Calum to drown in a river as he fled from the insurgents. Losing most of his supplies in the water, he decided the mission could screw itself. His only goal now was to survive and make it back to their forward operating base. Other than the rebels, the tropical jungle was crawling with all manner of parasites and predators. Days were spent on long walks, keeping his eyes and ears open and carefully navigating through the trees. Nights were spent in tense paranoia, trying to get minutes of fitful sleep and shielding himself from rain. He had even fashioned himself a makeshift ghillie suit from nearby plants. Eventually, his food stores ran low, and he was having poor luck in finding animals to hunt. Calum felt lucky when he saw smoke coming from a village until he saw the armed men that walked within and realized that the rebels owned the place. However, he did not intend to give up after getting so far. Under the cover of night, he crept in. He killed one guard with his knife and grabbed an isolated man, held them at gunpoint, and asked food. "Where is the food?" The scared man did not understand until Calum made eating gestures. When he pointed at a specific house, he knocked him out with the butt of his shotgun and quietly ran for it. Once inside, he quickly stuffed all the water and food items he could carry inside his repaired backpack when he saw a little girl staring at him. They looked at each other in disbelief for a moment. Then the child started screaming. Calum dropped the food in his hands and quickly ran for the girl, wrapping her in his arms. He knew they had hurt her and he had to leave now. This girl was his best chance of survival. He held her by the neck and dragged her outside. "I had to survive. And if the girl was smart, she would have lived too," said Calum. Men and women, some of whom were armed, all came running out of their huts and saw a man covered in leaves and with wild eyes, holding a child at gunpoint with a dirty shotgun. "Stay back," Calum shouted. If they did not understand, he shouted louder and shook the girl and his gun. Every time someone tried to approach, he would shout at them. And if one of them tried pointing a weapon at him, he would press the shotgun so hard against the girl's head she would start crying out. He did this the whole time. As he walked out of the village, once he managed to put distance between him and the people there, he shoved the girl away and ran into the shadows of the jungle. In the safety of darkness, he checked on the supplies he had managed to steal. He was not happy with the amount, but he hoped it would be enough to get him home. That was when he heard the plane engines. Looking up, he saw the streaks of jet fighters against the stars in the sky. He only had a second to wonder about their mission when he heard the familiar sound of screaming missiles. The ground shook and the night was lit up in an orange inferno as missiles slammed into the trees. Calum saw the jungle and the village he just came from becoming engulfed in flames a mere second before he ran for his life. At first, the screaming was in the distance. Then it came from his own mouth as fire and smoke began surrounding him. His muscles burned as hard as his skin the whole time. He ran until his legs gave out. Then he crawled as long as his arms would listen to him. Smoke filled his lungs and he felt chemicals burning his skin and eyes. He would have fought death until his last breath, but it was not meant to be his final day. Calum woke up blind and being told that while his body was saved, His lungs were damaged, and he would never see again. He was found by an assault squad and healed until his superiors decided they couldn't afford a witness to the firebombing. A strange visitor came to his hospital bed then and said his organization would have a use for a man of his determination, and let slip that he would be listed as MIA within the week. The man told him they would grant him sight greater than he had known if he swore an oath to obey the will of their great leader. Calum knew what his government would do to him if he stayed. The men in power had killed for less. He refused to be part of their body count. He was a survivor, and he would do whatever it took to be the last man standing. In the night, he was whisked away on a discreet transport, placed on a plane to God knows where, and laid down on a new hospital bed, where many strange voices told him that he would see everything as it truly was. The following days were spent in a blind haze of sedatives and pain as tools invaded his skull. Occasionally, the strange voices by his bedside would speak in languages unknown to him, chanting the same words, sometimes for hours. Calum lost track of how long he was kept there until the bandages were removed from his face, and a lone voice told him to open his eye. My sight, my body, my life, none of it was mine anymore. To continue to survive, I had to become a weapon. Their weapon, his weapon, said Cyclops. At first, seeing again was painfully bright, and he could not bear to open it for long, but through medicine and therapy it got easier, and the headaches would fade faster. Soon, the new eye somehow started making use of his old ones if it wanted more sight lines, transferring the odd yellow glow to his dead white eyes. They told him they had given him his life and his sight back. Calum knew none of it was his anymore. But surprisingly, he did not mind. These people not only saved him from certain death, but restored his vision and promised him a place of prominence among them. His loyalty was a fair price. He was no longer Corporal Calum McManus, and he did not want anyone to recognize him as such. He hid every part that hinted at his old life. Now, he was an ogre of the wilds, an Oenai of the woods, a primal force that was neither good nor evil, but a reminder of the natural order, a member of a pack of predators who simply abided by the survival of the fittest. Force and Arms did not just recruit a soldier, they summoned a Cyclops. Thanks for watching. Let me know down in the comments which hero you want me to do next, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.